Hello, I'm Dr. Sam Hancock of the Emerald Planet and Emerald Planet TV. We come to you on a week-to-week basis from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technology, services, and products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And as we have a planet of 9 billion people by 2038 and possibly 12 to 13 billion by the end of this century, how are we going to be able to take care of all these people on planet Earth? And that's what Emerald Planet's all about. We come to you looking at the solutions, the best practices from around the globe as we create the Emerald Planet. Hello, welcome to the Emerald Planet. We're making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And seeing the long-term impacts of climate change. We're glad to have you. Thank you for being with us. We're looking at Baltimore City, which is in the state of Maryland, and they have a fantastic recreation and parks program. And it's part of and incorporated into the educational system, the Department of Education, and it has the next generation science standards. These are very important, and also a focus on STEM and STEAM, and we're going to describe what both of those are. We have Molly O'Hoops. She is the Baltimore area coordinator for the Monarch Sister Schools program. And Molly, welcome to the Emerald Planet TV.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Talk about a little bit Baltimore City, its recreation and parks, and why it's so important, but how is it directly linked to education within Baltimore City?
Well, we use the parks a lot to teach students. We have programs at Sylvan Arboretum. We have programs at the Rawlings Conservatory. Most of the recreation centers have some outdoor programs as well to teach students about nature and just get them, feel like they're a part of something, like they're a part of the bigger world.
Yeah, that's really important. Now, talking about STEM and STEAM, what are these two acronyms? What do they stand for? And how do you go about integrating art into STEM so that you actually end up with STEAM?
Well, STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math. And we've been trying to incorporate all the subjects into the Baltimore City schools. And there are all kinds of extra programs that Baltimore City Recreation and Parks are offering mostly online for students. And the A in STEAM, of course, stands for art. But what I do is I add art activities to help teach students about nature and to just get them involved in hands-on discovery lessons, which start out as art and somehow trick them into learning science in a way.
I think it's fantastic. This is really a cute photograph you sent to me, and we did a close-up of the little animal that was produced down here. And we're going to show you different types of art. Why a different medium of art to put that into the STEM?
Well, I try to vary my lessons from like two-dimensional art lessons and three-dimensional. And this is a hands-on activity with beads. And some students just learn a lot just by manipulating, the beads, especially special needs students. But this is an insect that they created out of beads and pipe cleaners. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I have them make little caterpillars. We can make paper mache chrysalids. We can make butterflies out of, pipe cleaners and clear plastic. So it's basically a hands-on activity, and they can invent their own insects. But in the process, we'll all learn all about the bugs and the parts of an insect, and we look at various, insects as well. So I usually make it into a science lesson and an art lesson, all wrapped up in one.
This is very, very clever. But I really love this photograph. You can just see how engrossed this young student is. And tell us, they may be in the classroom, they may be moving around, they get bored and all that. But obviously, this young lady is really into her artwork. Why is art so important to learn the hard sciences?
Well, absolutely. When students are doing something like this, they actually learn to focus better, mm-hmm. and they can actually concentrate. They have to make decisions. They have to solve problems. And they just basically, learn how to manipulate the materials. But in the process, they're learning, all different things that can actually be applied to doing experiments, can be applied to any other kind of education that they're doing. But it really causes them to concentrate.
Yeah, and having this, I mean, I don't know if this is clay or actually dough, but it's really interesting is that you really allow them to use their own creativity, not only as far as the subject matter, but also the medium as well as the colors. How do you do that so that they feel like they really are expressing their inner self through a piece of artwork?
Well, this is actually a sugar cookie that they decorated. We were learning about butterflies. And so basically I provide a lot of materials. I have a plan in mind, but I always give them lots of flexibility to be creative, because I think that's just very important. And I can have the same activity, 15 kids, and each one makes something entirely different out of the same exact instructions and the same materials. So it's kind of exciting to see, how everybody comes up with a different plan for how to tackle their project.
So what you're doing is you're allowing them to innovate, create, and use new materials that maybe they've never even seen before.
Exactly. And also it fits in with the next generation science standards, which require being able to like use materials and being able to make a model of a natural phenomenon, or make a model, of something in nature. So they're kind of doing this with the cookies. I do lots of creative snacks with students,
Mhm.
and it's just like an art activity. They just get
That
to eat it in the end.
That's really fantastic. Now, this is quite sophisticated. This is really a beautifully done piece of art with the monarch butterfly and the flower and all that. So we can see the sophistication. I'm going to go back over these three slides that you shared with us. But I mean, it's in the same class. You're allowing them to use their own creativity, different medium, so when you see something this complex as far as this flower and the monarch butterfly, what is that telling you? What's the feedback you are getting visually from the students about this kind of opportunity?
Well, first of all, they can really concentrate, and they're actually using, this picture is actually showing the life cycle of the monarch butterfly. You can see it has the caterpillar, it has the chrysalis, it has the butterfly, it has the flowers of the milkweed, it has the pods of the milkweed. So it's basically showing the life cycle of the plant and of the insect.
Yeah, this is really very sophisticated and it's quite beautiful. I hope the student took it home and the adults in the home actually would frame that and have that from now on. That's a beautiful piece. But then we have, something that's much more simple. What is the student learning in this? Although we think it's very simple, yet there's some profound lessons in what we're looking at right here.
Well, this is just a map of North America, and I use this in my lessons to teach about the monarch butterfly, but I let the students color in a little cutout of a butterfly. You can see those on there, and then they can come up to the map, try to find Baltimore or some other area that they know, and stick it on with, double-sided tape, and then basically we end up creating, a migration path from Baltimore down to Mexico, so they can see where the butterfly goes. But they're not just looking at a map of where the butterfly goes, they're actually creating it by walking up and putting their sticker on after they colored it in. So I think it's a more of a hands-on way for them to study the migration route for
Yeah,
younger students.
I thought this was brilliant when I saw this. I've never seen this before as an art project or any way to explain the migration patterns of the monarch butterfly. So I think this is a very clever way for them to learn it. And once they have this visualization, this is something 50 years from now, some of these kids will actually remember this very lesson because it was something that they helped to create, but also it's a very intuitive way to learn about the migration patterns. Now, this is another type of game, so explain this to us.
So this is a game that I do with students also. It's called a monarch migration board game. And basically, I just give them each a piece of paper. They make a little, they put the pathway on there. They draw pictures, flowers, trees. Sometimes we make three-dimensional trees out of paper bags, or we make, flowers out of construction paper. They make their own little markers out of corks or toilet paper tubes with a colored in butterfly on top that they glue on. They make their own cards. So they have to make cards telling things that monarchs need, like flowers. Somebody planted flowers, move ahead 3 spaces. Or they write, somebody cut down a tree in Mexico, move back 3 spaces. So they have to, study the hazards and the needs of the butterflies while they're making the game.
This is just wonderful. Another game.
Yeah, so I let them decide how to make the game, whether on a big piece of paper, lots of little pieces of paper. They make up the rules. They can, if they can't read and write very well, if it's like kindergartners, they can just write +3 and draw a picture of a flower, for example, or -2, draw a picture of a bird trying to eat the butterfly, something like that.
Now, again, going back to concentration, the students being very involved in the artwork, what are we seeing here, and what do you think these young girls are seeing through their own eyes when they're doing this type of complex artwork?
Well, this is actually in Mexico. I was teaching a class on Market Day in Orondin, but the students are basically trying to draw what they're looking at the flower. They're counting the leaves. They're seeing whether they're alternate leaves or whether they're straight across. They're looking at the parallel veins. They're trying to figure out what kinds, all the little details of the flower, how many petals, whether it's male flower, female flower, look at the stamens, look at the pistils. So they're learning all about the flower just by looking at it.
Yeah, this is absolutely incredible, the complexity of what they're doing, yet it looks very simple, and yet at the same time, it's very profound. Now, I believe this is you. You're talking with the Mexican students. So, how are you helping them with their lessons? You're in English, they're speaking in Spanish, but yet there seems to be a warm communication between the three of you.
Well, this was actually at the Monarch Festival that in Ocampo at the end of the trip that we took to Mexico with the Monarch Sister Schools program. But we had all kinds of lessons and different people teaching classes about the forest and about the butterfly. So I was trying to help them realize how important their ecosystem is and what flowers grow in their area that grow nowhere else. So I brought in some flowers and they were drawing pictures of them and learning, just learning about the flowers. And yes, the art is kind of like a universal medium. You don't necessarily have to speak the same language to get your message across.
Well, and also too, let me stay on this slide right now. What are you learning from this experience yourself that you then take back into the classroom or out in the parks and recreation facilities that you're teaching the American students that you actually learned in this classroom in Mexico?
Well, first of all, some people assume that boys don't like flowers, and that's just not true. So I did find that, I found that boys are able to enjoy flowers and draw pictures of flowers just as well as girls are. It doesn't matter their age. And that, they're just able to concentrate. And these students, they spend a lot of time outside because the place in Mexico where we go, the climate is always perfect, and their classrooms are even basically open air classrooms. And they seem to be able to concentrate and better and be more relaxed than kids in the city that don't get outside. So that's one reason I'm trying to get kids outside more. I think it helps them relax and stay calm and focus.
Yeah, and that's something they need to carry into adulthood. And I think this is just a priceless photograph. But we're running out of time. I'm going to leave this up because I just love this. What is she looking at? What is she learning? And you have about 30 seconds to do all of that from this photograph.
So this is in the conservatory in Druid Park, and what I was teaching them about tropical plants, and they were drawing them. But what I do is I put a little plastic tadpole inside the bromeliad, so they can. And we talk about how the poison dart frog lays its eggs on the floor of the forest and carries the tadpole up and deposits the tadpole in the bromeliad, and then hops in to feed the tadpole. Whenever the tadpole gets hungry, the male poison dart frog goes and gets the mom and brings her back to lay an egg to feed the tadpole.
It's just,
So they're learning about life cycles.
yeah, I tell you, it's just incredible what it is you're doing. We only have a few seconds. What do you see for the growth of your program over the next 5, 10, or 15 years? And you literally do have 10 seconds.
Well, we're just trying to get more people out into nature and get them connected with the students in Mexico and get people to plant more and more flowers, and more gardens in their schoolyards, so that we'll have more and more monarchs and, plant milkweed and just basically care about the environment. So I'm hoping the future generation will be, just in touch with their environment and care about nature.
Molly Hoops of the Monarch Sister Schools program, thank you for being with us as we create the Emerald Planet.